Hi, gang. Happy Saturday, everybody. Here is your Saturday poll question at Smerconish.com. Sorry, I just got a distracting pop-up. Is the risk of violence a sufficient reason to not run for office? Michael, how odd and curious a question you are asking on this Saturday. I shall explain in just a moment. First, however, let me thank my friends at Play Gun Lake, the online casino. Summertime is here. It's a Saturday. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing in the great state of Michigan, enjoy the online betting from Play Gun Lake. Live betting on sports, better on the Play Gun Lake app. You can bet player performance, game props, and more, whether your team wins or loses. There's always a fun way for you to have some skin in the game with Play Gun Lake, the only app that I ever use and recommend in the great state of Michigan. Plus, check out these great new games: Huff and Moorpuff, Mega Fire Blaze, Dwarves and Goblins, The Flintstones, and Money Horse, your favorite. Wherever you are, lounge chair, beach, lake, playground, whatever the case may be. Play blackjack, baccarat, hot online slots, all the fun stuff with my friends at Play Gun Lake. Can't wait. That smell is in the air for me. That August fresh grass cut smell says football camp to me. You've got to be 21 and in Michigan for the Play Gun Lake app. You love to play, you play to win, you bet Play Gun Lake. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Before I discuss in more detail today's poll question at Smerconish.com, which I'm excited about in a good way, is the risk of violence a sufficient reason to not run for office? Let me just say preliminarily that today is week 2, show 2 in the new television studio in the Philly burbs. And as I told you last Saturday, I would say, and I'm trying to make this my routine, instead of I'm Michael Smerconish from the city of Philadelphia, I'm Michael Smerconish, from Philly, whatever the case may be. I want it to be Philly burbs. And the studio is really coming together well. We're still tweaking. The radio side is not yet finished, although I've been using it. And if you've noticed for a couple of days this week for the YouTube lives, I've been using it for radio purposes, but that's really through like how would I describe it? Not quite the lemonade can and the string with wax on it, but the 2025, version of that. I'm using the facility, but the connections are not yet all in. Television, they are in. This is kind of a distorted view as I'm doing the YouTube live, but I'm just going to lift my camera and you can see that's the slide. I can never get my head straight on this version, but that's the slide that we're going with. I'll get out of the way, and there you can see it, which is intended to take a look right down the old Reading railroad tracks toward the city of Philadelphia to signify, hey, I'm in the burbs, but I'm close to town. And given the political significance of the Philly burbs, I frankly love being able to say that. I love being able to say that because I've spent most of my life here, and we are the political epicenter. So far, so good. And last week looked good, sounded good. Again, tweaking, getting it just right. But I'm happy to be in my new home. And kudos to PJ at Creative Outfit. PJ's done a great job in terms of bringing this all together. It's funny because the space in which I'm located was an office with a big blackboard on the wall, and a restaurateur was keeping track of his wait staff. And now I'm surrounded in foam, and I've got the TV monitor behind me and transmitting literally around the planet, which is fun stuff. Okay, Michael, the poll question. Get to the poll question. Is the risk of violence a sufficient reason to not run for office? I struggled with the wording of this last night. What I'm really asking you is, if you were inclined to run for office, to be a public servant, would the threat of violence today in and of itself hold you back from making that move? I know I talked extensively on radio, but I've not had opportunity to discuss on television this privilege that I had on Monday in Boston when I participated at a huge conference, the National Conference of State Legislatures, which was a gathering of state legislators from all across the country. And it was amazing. It was amazing. I participated in the first session. in the first session before I came out on stage, there was a tribute paid by two Minnesota lawmakers, Senate Majority Leader Aaron Murphy. Aaron Murphy's a Democrat, and House Speaker Lisa DeMuth, a Republican, paying tribute to Melissa Hortman, who with her husband Mark and their dog, and I don't minimize the latter, were all assassinated. And this was the same incident where State Senator John Hoffman was also shot 9 times, and his wife Yvette. So the two Minnesota lawmakers come out and they pay tribute to Melissa Hortman, and then John Hoffman joins by video. Then I come out with the Wisconsin House Speaker, Robin Vos, and we talk for an hour, 45, 50 minutes, okay, about incivility and the climate. And then Gabby Giffords walked out on stage. It was amazing. And we have the videotape of it. And so on television today, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with running for office shouldn't require a flak jacket. I'm Michael Smerconish in the Philly Burbs. Running for office shouldn't require a flak jacket. I'm Michael Smerconish in the Philly Burbs. Then I'm going to recount what transpired in Boston and then talk about the climate of political violence. And I have to say, I made reference to this on radio. Now I'll show it to you. Barbara Rodriguez, writing for The 19th, which is a not-for-profit based in Minnesota, then picked up by MinnPost. Headline, "The threat of political violence is keeping parents out of elective office." And it's a really well-written, I'll give her a name check today because she deserves it. It's a well-written piece about exactly what I'm discussing. And she turned me on to this data gathering operation at Princeton University. Bear with me because I want to cite them correctly. And they are tracking at Princeton every threat of hostility toward elected officials, mostly local, with a particular emphasis on school boards, which have become so contentious over the years. Bear with me because I want to do this right. Yeah, here it is. It's called the Bridging Divides Initiative, and it's at Princeton University, and they track hostility against local officials in the United States. They maintain a threats and harassment data set, which is this longitudinal event-based data tracking system that tracks the rate, frequency, types, and targets of threats and harassment against elected officials at all levels of government. And you'll not be surprised to hear that, well, I'll tell you something interesting. According to the FBI in 2024, crime in all categories across the United States in decline. But political hostility on the rise. And what accounts for that? And if you've listened to me or watched me before, you know my short list. My short list is a mental health crisis, a fragmentation of society, political polarization, spurred by gerrymandering, self-sorting, a lack of campaign finance reform. Shall I continue? It's a witch's brew, and it's impacting our political system, and it's having a terrible impact on our kids. And what can we do about it? We can restore common experience. Oh, Michael, there you go again. Yeah, that's right. There I go again. Every day I see the signs, I tell the stories, I share them on air. So I'm doing a little of that today on television because it's the best prescription I can offer. Convincing people of the fragmentation theory and getting them to re-engage in society. But back to the poll question, what I'm asking today is, and I'm going to run through all the data, and I'm going to quote Robert Pape. I mean, here, let me say one more paragraph from my commentary today, just to try and bring home these points. I'm going to quote Robert Pape and then welcome him as a guest. He from the University of Chicago, who tracks political violence. In June, Robert Pape wrote a piece for the New York Times and noted that in the last 5 years, we have seen 2 assassination attempts against President Trump, the brutal attack against Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, an assassination plot against Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Yes, the January 6 events. I mean, they've got to be very high on that list. And then, pardoning all of those folks was definitely not in the best interest of quelling the violence that I'm talking about. The riots after the murder of George Floyd, the potentially deadly arson attack against Governor Josh Shapiro's residence in Harrisburg, the attacks on the Tesla dealerships, the killing of 2 Israeli embassy staffers in Washington, a far from complete list. A far from complete list. But as you see what's going on out there, I mean, it occurs to me that I'm sure there are good people willing to serve who have kids, have a spouse, have a partner, and say, I'd like to do it, but I don't know that I want to put my life on the line. I don't know that it's worth helping my country. I don't know that it's worth laying down my life to serve as a township supervisor. But I'm really worried about it because I believe that when good people sit out, the fringes fill the void. The fringes fill the void. So that's what I'm asking today. Is the risk of violence a sufficient reason to not run for office? I saw when there was early voting, and it was a pretty divided vote. So I don't know what kind of a result it will yield. I don't know if people will understand where I'm coming from unless they watch the opening commentary. And let's be fair, sometimes a lot of people vote who aren't even listening. But if you listen and watch today, you'll get what I'm saying. You'll get what I'm saying. So that's the question. Is the risk of violence a sufficient reason to not run for office today? Go to Smerconish.com. Cast your ballot on that. Thank you so much. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Set yourself up for notifications, and please be watching the CNN program at 9 a.m. Eastern, day 2. Actually, I say day 2 of my own show, but I was on with Casey Hunt yesterday. I was on with John Berman earlier in the week. I've done a number of CNN hits. We're trying to put the place to good use and really kick the tires and get the bugs out. So watch today, and you'll see the progress that we've made. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day and a great weekend. Go vote.